Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to be talking about another upcoming, potentially major winter storm in today's video. Now, before I get started with this video, though, I would ask that you do subscribe if you do like weather-related content, and also make sure to share this video with your friends, family, and social media. And I'd also highly recommend that you check out our very exciting Patreon page in the description and in the pinned comments down below. And then also our very awesome channel membership, which you can click that button next to the subscribe button and check out today. Anyway, for today's comment of the day, I want to know, do you think that this upcoming, potentially major snowstorm will be major? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll be picking one of those for tomorrow's video. Let's hop right into things, and as you can see, in the East Coast, we have this storm we've been dealing with, and we've been talking about for weeks now. This is the same exact one that was Winter Storm Viola. And this one moved through Texas, Oklahoma, all the way up until now. It's basically bringing a tiny bit of freezing rain there for the mid-Atlantic and a tiny bit of snowfall up there for the Northeast at this point. Now let's just hop down into the Southeast, and as you can see, we're dealing with quite a bit of rainfall actually. These areas have had tons of rain so far this month. My area up in Virginia, we've had about 5.89 inches so far this month, which is just so crazy considering we're only about 2/3 of the way through the month or so. Very interesting situation, and I'm actually dealing with more rain throughout the day today, so it's a mess up here in Virginia. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna move up into the mid-Atlantic and take a look at that ice. Now, as you can see, we are actually dealing with some snow a little bit earlier on this morning, but that did kind of transition over to more ice there, indicated by those pinks. Probably some freezing rain coming down on the tail end of this for areas like Richmond, Maryland, Delaware, even up through New Jersey as well. They might have seen some snowfall accumulations as well. It's hard to say, but then there for eastern Virginia, you can see that we're dealing with a ton of rainfall going on, including the eastern shore, even up through Maryland and Delaware. I guess southern Delaware for the most part. The northern portions there are dealing with mostly freezing rain. Very interesting there. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to move up to the northeast, and we're going to take a look at that snowfall going on. All right, now here we are taking a look up there for New England and the rest of the northeast, and as you can see, we are dealing with some light to moderate snowfall. I don't see any necessarily heavy snowfall going on that would be indicated by blue shades. We're not seeing much of that at all, actually none. So we're seeing those whites there. The very bright whites is actually the heaviest snowfall we're seeing at this point. Binghamton up through Albany seems to be getting the heaviest at this point. But there is some areas in northern New Jersey that we're dealing with some of that heavier amounts. Even Boston dealing with some of that from time to time throughout the morning this morning. So yeah, generally New England is dealing with some snow showers, some heavier snow showers, and more consistent snow, probably accumulating to 3 to 6, maybe even 6 to 10 or more in some of the higher elevation regions. They've been dealing with snow for quite a few hours. So this is just the tail end of it here that we're seeing right now. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move on. We're going to take a look at the modeled guidance. We're going to take a look at the rest of this storm and then our next upcoming potentially major snowstorm in just a moment. Now, as we take a look at that European model here on our simulated radar, you can see it looks quite similar to what we're taking a look at. This is a lower resolution model, so it's not going to be perfect, but you can see those pinks in similar areas, the blues indicating the lighter to moderate snowfall. So this model is doing pretty well, just indicating what's pretty much going on actual radar right now. Now, by the time we're reaching later tonight, I'm talking like 1 a.m., 2 a.m., actually heading into Saturday, February 20th, you can see that we're actually going to see a little bit of a heavier second punch of snowfall enter into the eastern regions of southern New England there, so like Boston, Cape Cod, Nantucket, Martha's Vineyard, to close things out, and that might drop a few inches of snowfall, but after that point, we're really going to enter into a quiet pattern, as you can see here by the time we're reaching Saturday afternoon. Not a lot is going on. Some snow showers potentially out west for the Pacific Northwest, but really light at this point. You can tell they're not even entering into their second shades very much at all. So a very quiet pattern, but actually a quite cold one. So there is going to be some cold air around. That's not going to last too long, however, because as we move towards about, I would say this is approximately 7 p.m. there on Sunday evening, you can see that we begin to see our next winter storm. We actually have one entering up there in for the Pacific Northwest actually, but the one we're talking about today is there for the Midwest, areas like Iowa, Missouri, Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota. So very interesting situation coming up. We have another winter storm on the way that could be major. It could be major. So what we're going to do is we're going to move on in just a moment and take a look at what this one's going to do. All right, now here we are taking a look at approximately 11 a.m. there on Monday, February 22nd. And as we can see, we have moderate to heavy snowfall entering into Ohio, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, New York by this point, and that's likely accumulating very quickly. The one thing I am watching for is you can see some rain makes its way in behind it. There's not enough cold air there available to keep everybody all snow for the entirety of this storm. But things could trend colder, and quite frankly, we do have enough time for trends to occur here. I think this could be a little bit more of a more major snowstorm than we're anticipating at this point. It does have some potential with a lot of energy to the south, a lot of energy to the north. If we see the energy to the south take over the next couple of days as we see some model runs come out, this could become more like a nor'easter, a little bit more like a nor'easter, not a full-blown one, but that would be a little bit more of a major situation. So we're going to be watching for all of these factors moving forward. So let's just go ahead and zoom in, and this is at about 7 p.m. on Monday, and as you can see, it's fully entered into the eastern United States. The one thing I do want to mention is the flooding. Again, we already have around 6 inches of rain that's occurred here in Virginia. Probably surrounding regions have seen more just this month, so just in February, and there could be a few more inches on the way with this storm. I can't believe that's even possible at this point. We're seeing snowfall for eastern Pennsylvania, northern New Jersey there. Also areas in upstate New York, especially the Catskills and the Adirondacks, it appears. And then we see also for Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Connecticut, some snowfall is occurring. Notice the coastal regions at this point are all rain. So this storm is not dealing with enough cold air around to make this an all snow event for everywhere. But overall, most of those higher elevation areas, most of those interior regions are dealing with a lot of that snowfall. By time we're reaching about 1 a.m. or so there on Tuesday, February 23rd, the interesting thing here is that we see that the low pressure center offshore of New England in the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic there. It's a 998 millibar low pressure center, so this becomes the dominant low pressure center at a certain point, but there's one up there in Maine, and that's kind of blocking the whole situation from becoming a full-blown snowstorm. If we see that southern one become a lot more dominant than that, we could see a lot more snowfall than what we're currently seeing from these models. So we're going to be watching all of these things very closely because this storm has a lot of room to change and shift around. So we're going to be watching for that very, very closely. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to move on and we're going to take a look at the total snowfall according to these models, the European model, the GFS model, the Canadian model, and then we're going to pretty much close out the video in just a moment. Now, as we're taking a look at that total snowfall according to our European model here, as you can see, at this point, there isn't a lot of major snowfall going on outside of the Northeast, but let's just break it down. So for the Midwest, we're taking a look at a general 1, 2, 3, maybe approaching 4 inches there at this point for Iowa, Wisconsin, Illinois. So we're kind of questioning if it is going to be a major snowstorm for those regions. We're questioning if it's going to happen for anywhere, but especially there, hence the question mark in the thumbnail. But generally, as you move over into Michigan, we can see a little bit of purples popping up. So we're seeing 5 or 6 inches possible for those regions. Lake effect enhancement likely the cause for that. But once we move up into New England and the Northeast, we can see a lot of pinks showing up, and that's where we're at 10 to 15 inches of snow, likely closer to 10, which is kind of where I cross over into a more major event, a very plowable snow event, to say the least, as you're approaching a foot. So we're going to watch that closely. If we see this trend a little snowier, you're taking a look at maybe 15 inches of snow. It's clearly a major event. So that's why I'm kind of right on the fence of if this one will be a major snowstorm or not. But right now, I mean, New York City, potentially a couple inches, Boston too. So we see some major cities in this getting involved. But I kind of question if those southern areas will have too many mixing issues. That's why I'm going to have to update this over the next couple of days for sure. Let's just move on to that GFS model, and it's a lot of the same, actually. We do see some more purple showing up for Iowa and Wisconsin, so it would be a little bit more major for those regions. Also, the areas in the Adirondacks seeing potentially 15 to 20 inches of snow here because of that lake effect enhancement on our GFS model. That would be a little bit more of a major snowstorm, obviously. And then also that Canadian model is a little bit more widespread with those purples and pinks, even down there for Maryland, close to DC as well. So we're seeing a little bit more widespread snowfall here on our Canadian model. But overall, considering how far out we are, actually, we're having pretty good agreement from our models. So my confidence isn't as low as it possibly could be. But speaking of our confidence, we're at a 2 out of 6. So this could be a 1, but we're actually a 2 because of that agreement. but I could see some major shifts coming up over the next couple of days as we approach this storm. So I'm going to need to update you guys on this pretty consistently coming up, so I hope you stay tuned for that, as this is certainly not final. We only took a look at the models here today. I expect major changes over the next couple of days. Whether that's more minor, more major, more northwest, south, or east, I don't know at this point, but we're going to be tracking it together if you stay tuned to our channel. I can't wait to see you again. Anyway, for today's comment of the day, I asked you guys, when do you think our next major snowstorm is going to be? And James Marr, who has been winning this almost every single time, I'm convinced James Marr is actually Zeta Derv. I've seen people throw around that theory before, but Zeta Derv stopped commenting, and I haven't picked her for comment of the day, but now James Marr, I'm picking every single day, just like I used to do Zeta Derv. Let me know if you agree with that theory. I don't know. But anyway, I asked you guys when our next major snowstorm will be, and James Marr said models are hinting at one for early next week and another for late next week for portions of the Northeast. So yes, there is multiple snowfall opportunities still on the way as we approach March, and actually it looks to get a little bit more snowy about a week from now, so we're going to be watching that as well in the upcoming pattern. Anyway, for today's patron highlight of the day, I want to thank you all for supporting the channel, but especially our platinum patrons: Sebastian Tao, John Bembenek, James Wade, Dovey Nagel, Alan Belemo, Adam S., Larry LePan, Donna Carnes, Cameron Marshall, and Aiden Mattis, alongside our diamond patrons: Bill Roberts, Alan Sherry, Marcus Connolly, Noah Harley, Michael Codalessa, Michael Buell, Catbite, Charles Stinnett, Kellen Manhart, It's Jay, Cindy Klein, Mark J., Luke Falago, Gary's, and John Quilisi. If you would like to be a part of this Patreon end screen of the day, you could do so by joining our very exciting Patreon page in the description and in the pinned comments down below. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Again, be sure to share it with your friends, family, and social media. I will see you guys in the next video.